Hello folks, Everchanger here and welcome back to more Pokemon Crystal. Last time we did some exploring around some optional areas and then we came up here through Route 43 to the Lake of Rage. We also had an evolution on the team. Check it out, we finally have a Crobat and we can finally teach it fly, which is really nice for traveling around the world. Anyway, this time, starting things off, I would like to explore this region of the Lake of Rage here. Now, let's see here. I think there's a hidden item somewhere around here. I'm not sure entirely where. There it is. There's a full restore right there. Very nice. Now, this area right here is in the western portion of the Lake of Rage and can be a little confusing to navigate. It's basically like a small tree maze, so could be interesting trying to navigate. So we're just gonna head through right here, and I do have my list of items next to me, so hopefully we will find them all. But if I do miss one, I do apologize and I will come back later to get it. Repel's effect wore off. I thought we found an item, but actually we did. There's a hidden rare candy right here, and you can also see that house right over there in the corner. That house has something worthwhile in it. It's got a very interesting item for you. Anyway, I can use cut on that. I don't think there's any items in any of these nooks aside from the one I already showed. There might be one up around in this area though. And in case it hasn't been made clear by how many times we've had to use it, you're going to want a cut user to navigate this area. Right here we have TM43, which contains Detect. Detect is an interesting move. Basically, it prevents your Pokemon from taking damage from an attack on the turn that it's used. Basically, a variant of Protect. I'm not sure why they felt the need to have two moves that do that in the game, but whatever, that's what they did. Right here we've got an Elixir, which is really cool. It's actually not on my list. I have an Ether on my list, but I don't have an Elixir on my list. That's weird. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything else. Loop right around here. And this should plunk us right in front of this house over here. Yes, indeed, it does. Now, I am going to mention, somewhere in this maze, I'm not entirely sure exactly where, a character will spawn named Wesley of Wednesday. He will hand out a black belt on Wednesdays only, and a black belt is basically a held item that powers up fighting type moves like all of the other Day of the Week siblings items do for different types. Anyway, head on in here, and we have this guy. You have strayed far. Here I have meditated. Inside me, a new power has been awakened. Let me share my power with your Pokemon. Take this, child. And we get TM10. Very cool. Do you see it? It is hidden power. It draws out the power of Pokemon for attacking. Remember this. Its type and power depend on the Pokemon using it. This is true. The type and power of this move are determined by your Pokemon's individual values. There's a lot of really complicated mathematics behind this, but basically, this move could randomly be any type except for normal, which is funny because it's listed as a normal type move. It can have a power anywhere between 31 and 70 inclusive. Very neat. Now, looking over my list right here, it looks like we've gotten everything in this maze right here. So hopefully I've got everything accounted for. So with that, I am going to be leaving this maze and meeting you back over at the eastern entrance of the lake. Now, fun fact about the Lake of Rage, as you can see, you are actually allowed to fly here. This is the entrance to the Lake of Rage in the east that I point out last episode. Now, some people will have to wonder, why on earth can you fly to the Lake of Rage? Well, it turns out, in the development of Pokemon Gold and Silver, the Lake of Rage was actually going to be an actual town, and not just a lake. And it's speculated that you are allowed to fly here as a bit of a leftover from that point in development. And that brings me to something interesting. Pokemon Gold and Silver, and by extension Crystal, have a ton of unused maps in them. In fact, pretty much every single town and city in the Johto region has an unused beta version in the game, which is really cool. There is a website that I really have to recommend called The Cutting Room Floor, and they have a page on Gold and Silver and another page for Crystal that details all of this, and it's a really fascinating read if you want to learn more about the development history of this game. Anyway, right here we have the Fishing Guru's house. Head on inside. Lake of Rage is actually a crater made by rampaging Gyarados. The crater filled up with rainwater and the lake was formed. That's the story passed on from my grandpa's great-great-grandpa. It used to be that you could catch lively Magikarp there, but I don't understand what's happening. Later on in the game, once you address whatever is going on in the Lake of Rage, he will actually give you something, but you have to give him something in return. The lake hasn't been normal since those men wearing black arrived. Very interesting. He will ask you to show him a Magikarp. Now, interesting thing about Magikarp in this game, even though the Pokédex lists a single height value for this Pokemon, the game will actually randomly assign a height value to every Magikarp you catch. And you want to bring this guy the biggest Magikarp you can find. If you can find him one that is 42 inches or greater, he will give you an Ether. And I think every single time you beat the record, he'll give you another one, which is pretty cool. Anyway, come right out here, and we got some NPCs to talk to. Did my eyes deceive me? I saw a red Gyarados in the lake, but I thought Gyarados were usually blue. Interesting indeed. Lake of Rage, also known as Gyarados Lake. What do you have to say? The Gyarados are angry. It's a bad omen. Now you might wonder, why on earth are these Gyarados angry? Well, if we go into our Pokegear radio, and we tune it to a channel... Let's see, where is it? Don't tell me it doesn't actually play it. It should. There it is. Right there, on the highest frequency on the radio, it will play this really creepy, eerie tune. And it's strongly implied that this tune is what is driving all of the Pokemon so crazy. Now, trainers can only pick up this tune on their radio, but Pokemon seem to be a bit more acutely aware of what is going on. I heard this lake was made by rampaging Gyarados. I wonder if there's any connection to their mass outbreak now. Creepy stuff. Indeed. Anyway, right over here, there is a hidden Max Potion. This is an item I don't think we've encountered yet. It's basically a complete full restore for your Pokemon's HP, no matter how much HP it has lost. Kinda useless to us now, and the full restore we grabbed earlier does exactly that, but it also restores all status conditions, which is really cool. Now, as you might imagine, that Gyarados out in the lake is pretty special, so I'm going to recommend that you save the game before proceeding any further. Alright, now that you've done that, I hope you guys have some Pokeballs in your inventory, because as you might imagine, we are going to have a bit of a battle right here. Let's loop around right here. Gotta pose for the thumbnail, you know? And... oh my god, it's a shiny! Well, yes and no. This is indeed a shiny Pokemon, and this will be most players' first encounter with the mechanic. However, it's not really all that special because this Gyarados is programmed to always be shiny. Shiny Pokemon was a mechanic that was introduced in Gold and Silver because these were the first Pokemon games that you could actually play in full color, which is really neat, and they wanted to have a way to display this. So they decided to have shiny Pokemon to sort of show off the technology a little bit. Now, a fun fact about shiny Pokemon when encountered in the wild in Generation 2, in Generation 2 the game will actually not allow you to run from them as far as I know, which is definitely interesting. But yeah, this Gyarados is level 30, and it will always be level 30, which means it's a pretty strong Pokemon for where you are currently in the game. So I definitely recommend catching it, because A, it's a shiny and those are always fun, and B, it's actually pretty strong if you'd like to use it on your team. For that reason, I have packed quite a few Pokeballs here, and hopefully I'll be able to catch this thing pretty quickly. Gyarados, as you might imagine, is not the easiest Pokemon to catch. Case in point. Alright, now I explained shininess in more detail, how it normally occurs. This case, obviously, notwithstanding, back in episode, I want to say, 14. So if you'd like some more details on what exactly shininess is, how it might affect your Pokemon stats, or how it's affected by your Pokemon stats, various things like that, be sure to go check out that episode because it has all the details you want to know. And wow, we caught that thing in 2 Great Balls? That's pretty good. Add that data to the Pokedex, and as we all know, that is what a Gyarados is supposed to look like. Gyarados, the atrocious Pokemon. It appears whenever there is world conflict, burning down any place it travels through. Now, this Gyarados is red, and all shiny Gyarados will be red, but the game likes to explain that that radio signal is sort of agitating Magikarp into evolving, and in-universe the game likes to say that this agitation caused Gyarados to evolve improperly, and so it didn't change color because Magikarp is red. Not really how it works, but the game likes to explain it like that for a lore standpoint. Anyway, once we've done that, we will obtain a red scale. That is a very important item. You definitely want to grab that, although grabbing it is required, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Anyway, head back to the shore, and now this guy will show up. This lake is full of Gyarados, but nothing else. So the Magikarp are being forced to evolve. Did you come here because of the rumors? You're David. I'm Lance, a trainer like you. I heard some rumors, so I came to investigate. I saw the way you battled earlier, David. I can tell that you're a trainer with considerable skill. If you don't mind, could you help me investigate? Oh boy, a mystery! Yes. Excellent. It seems that the lake's Magikarp are being forced to evolve. A mysterious radio broadcast coming from Mahogany is the cause. Guess Lance trips over his words as much as I do. I'll be waiting for you, David. And he has the magical powers of teleportation for some reason. Anyway, with that, believe it or not, I recommend that you head immediately to Mr. Pokemon's house on Route 30. Trust me on this. Alright, here we are at Mr. Pokemon's house. Now you're probably wondering what on earth this red scale that we just got does. Well, to be honest, it doesn't do anything. So I think a resident researcher might be a little bit more interested in having it, and he will give something very nice in return. That scale. What's that? A red Gyarados? That's rare. I want it. David, would you care to trade it? I can offer this experience share I got from Professor Oak. Say yes to this. We finally have the experience share. One of the best items in the game. Life is delightful. Always new discoveries to be made. The experience share is a really good item. If anyone remembers the Experience All from Generation 1, this is basically a better version of that. It is a held item, which I'm going to be giving to Eevee immediately. And basically what it does is it makes sure the Pokemon holding the experience share always gets at least half of the experience points in battle. This number can change. Like, for example, if you send the Pokemon with the experience share out into battle, I believe it will get, like, 3/4 of the experience or something like that. There's some weird formula behind it, but it'll always get at least half. And I really recommend this for training up Pokemon that maybe aren't keeping up quite as well. And when it comes to Eevee, who only has one attacking move, which is Normal type, I think this item's going to come very much in handy. Anyway, now that we've got that out of the way, I want to head back to Mahogany Town and start our investigation. Alright, here we are in Mahogany Town. Now you have to wonder where on earth that mysterious radio signal is coming from. Well, this little shop right here did seem pretty suspicious. While visiting Mahogany Town, try a Rage Candy Bar. Very, very interesting. Remember that music and those weird shady guys in here, and the fact that they were selling Slowpoke tails? Yeah, I think I know, and you know, we all know, where this is going, so let's head on inside. Dragonite, Hyper Beam. What took you, David? Just as I thought, that strange radio signal is coming from here. The stairs are right here. David, we should split up to check this place. I'll go first. And off he goes. Ah, you found the secret stairway. Yeah, that guy's dragon Pokemon are tough. Very interesting indeed, and it looks like our suspicions are confirmed. Inside, we have Team Rocket's headquarters. Very, very cool. Anyhow, things aren't going to be quiet for long. Step in front of these statues, and you will immediately get assailed by a Team Rocket grunt. Hey, intruder alert! And the battle begins. Haven't heard this music in quite a while. I'll be honest, I've missed it. This is one of my favorite tracks in the entire game. Anyway, out comes Drowsy, and I'm going to send in my HERACROSS, which is probably not the best matchup in terms of types, especially if this thing happens to know a Psychic-type move. But we one-shotted him, so I don't think we have to worry about too terribly much. And as you can see, Eevee is getting experience just as normal. Very, very cool. Well, as normal as it can be when you're holding this weird thing on your head, because if you've seen what the experience share actually looks like, it's like that crazy contraption that 1955 Doc Brown was wearing in his first appearance in Back to the Future. So, yeah. Dang, I failed, he says. And a second one will immediately assail you right after. It's my turn, there's no escape. You probably get the picture by now. These statues have some way of detecting when we stand in front of them, and they will pretty much immediately spawn in a Team Rocket grunt for us to fight, and then a second one not too long after. Now, most players would want to find a way to shut this off as quickly as possible. I'm not one of those players, because you know what I see when I see these battles? I see experience that we will not be able to get if we manage to put a stop to whatever's going on. Now, there are a total of, I believe, 5 statues in the hideout, including this one we are in front of right now, which means after this fight, we've got 8 optional fights against these Team Rocket grunts right here, and I think I'd like to do as many of these optional fights as possible, because Eevee needs experience, let's be completely honest here. Anyway, gonna take a quick attack from this Rattata right here, and luckily, these trainers aren't really all that strong, so if you happen to stumble in front of a statue and you're not expecting it, probably gonna be okay. Get a little bit more experience. Eevee gets level 22, and down goes the second Rocket Grunt. Surveillance cams are in the Pokemon statues. Will keep appearing until you trip a secret switch. Team Rocket, always giving us the hint on how to proceed. Now, as you might imagine, all of the fights linked to these statues are going to be exactly the same as the ones we just did. So, I think I'm going to time-lapse the next 8 fights right here. First actual real speed-up session in the series where we actually do something instead of walk around. So I'm going to do that, and I will be right back in probably about a minute for you, but probably more like 10 minutes for me. Alright, and that is every single statue with battles attached to them. Now, what did I tell you about having a really awesome opportunity for experience? In that montage, Eevee got to level 23, I believe it was, and also learned Quick Attack, which is really cool. Anyway, these are the stairs to go further on in the hideout, which means you can technically just opt to not trip the switch at all, and completely ignore it. Also, right here we have a warp tile that will take us back to the entrance of this area. However, right here we have a bit of a trap field, and it is laden with wild Pokemon. You can encounter either Geodude, Voltorb, or Coughing in most of these tiles. Now, all these Pokemon we've encountered before, so it's really no big deal, but you are required to fight at least 4 of these Pokemon in order to make it all the way across this, what is basically a minefield. Now, as you can see, you can navigate the entire floor without ever stepping on this, but as you might imagine, this is another really good source of experience, so I think I'm going to take on all of the Pokemon in this minefield as well, just because I'm a really thorough completionist. Oh, I thought this happened a lot later. Okay, I guess in the middle of this little time-lapse right here, we're having Croconaw evolve. Not the most glamorous of battles, but there we go. Congratulations, your Croconaw evolved into FERALIGATR. I'll be honest, I thought that was a lot later than it was. Anyway, back to the montage. Alright, and that is the entire minefield, I guess we can call it. Now, it's kind of funny, the game still remembers where all the traps were, so you can see your character pause for like a frame when they step over where a trap used to be, which is really funny. Now, there's a hidden item somewhere in this minefield, and I'm not sure where, so let's see if we can find it. There it is. There's a hidden revive right here, pretty much smack dab in the middle of the minefield. In fact, just 1 square south of it. Anyway, now that we've done that, we also have this trainer right here who is technically not required, but he's not the same as the ones that we fought in front of the statues. So yeah, this is a real fight right here. Feeling lucky, punk? Go ahead, take another step. We've got traps set in the floor. Yeah, they probably expected you to approach this guy from the other direction, and I think we'll count this as FERALIGATR's debut fight, because honestly, those wild Pokemon, they just don't count. Now, you probably noticed during that montage, all of those Pokemon did know self-destruct, so I guess it really was legitimately a minefield. Which is kind of funny, actually, in hindsight. I actually hadn't consciously realized that when I made the analogy the first time. Anyway, this guy probably isn't going to be that big of a deal. But yeah, you can see why I wanted to fight all of the trainers in front of the statues and all the Pokemon in the minefield. We gained quite a few levels across the entire team during that. So yeah, take about, I don't know, say 25 minutes out of your day to just go do all that. You can get quite a decent amount of experience through those fights. Like, you might not think it, but we've got quite a few levels under our belt now, which is really cool. Now, in the case of Eevee, people are probably curious right now what I'm planning on evolving it into. You can probably narrow it down to at least 2 options. But there is one move that Eevee, and not the Pokemon I'm going to evolve it into, is going to learn right around level 28 or 29. But then I'm going to have to book it and try and get Eevee to evolve before level 36 for my neat little plan I'm working on with it to plan out the way I want it to. So yeah, anyone who has an innate knowledge of this game can probably tell right there what I'm planning on evolving Eevee into, but anyone who doesn't know, you can either go check it out yourself, or just wait and be surprised. And also, I love how he says kaboom right there. That's hilarious. Also, definitely worth noting, there is a decent amount of money that we can get from fighting all these trainers too. Also, you can see the game takes that little 1-frame pause whenever you walk in front of the Persian statue. So yeah, pause. I'm sorry. Anyway, right here we have a Hyper Potion, and then if we loop right down here, I chose not to get the items during the montage just so I could make verbal note of them. Right here we have a Nugget, which is definitely worth selling for money, especially since, in my case, I took the time to show off the fine on Route 43. Honestly, if you're playing by yourself, unless you really like that little cutscene, I recommend avoiding it because it's literally throwing away money. Anyway, right here we have this guy, a scientist. This was once a ninja hideout. There are traps to confound intruders like you. Sorry, buddy, but I've foiled all your traps, so I wouldn't necessarily be concerned as of this point. Anyway, right here we have a Magnemite. And fun fact about the scientists that work for Team Rocket, the game is specifically coded to play the Team Rocket battle music against Team Rocket grunts only. So, as you can see, the scientist right here is going to play the normal battle music. This is semi-expected behavior, which is carried on throughout the series. However, there's another trainer class in this game where that little distinction makes a little less sense, and it'll probably be pretty clear exactly what I'm talking about pretty soon in this area. Pretty much certainly next episode we're going to be seeing exactly what I'm referring to. Anyway, grab our experience from that, and we have one more Magnemite. Yeah, this guy isn't the most creative trainer in the world. He's just got 3 Magnemite. Unfortunately, I'm actually out of surfs, so this might get a little awkward real quick here. Oh, well, actually, Headbutt did quite a bit of damage to this guy, which is good. Something tells me Thundershock won't do too terribly much just because of the level difference, and one more Headbutt should make it curtains for this Magnemite right here. Very good. Get a little bit more experience from that, and Eevee gets level 26. Very nice. Very, very nice. I get it, he says, and we get a decent amount of money for winning. Alright, I'll divulge a secret about our hideout. That thing on the floor up ahead is a warp panel. If you step on it, you'll be warped back to the entrance. Very cool. Right here, a secret switch. Better press it. What could go wrong, right? And we get a guard special for our trouble. Now, if you flip that switch prior to interacting with all the Persian statues, it will basically render them all into their deactivated state, and you won't have to fight them, the trainers that spawn in front of them, afterwards. It's real cool. Anyway, I'd like to take advantage of this warp tile right here just to show off what it does, and then I'm going to go heal, and I will be right back. Alright, we are all healed up, and I think with that we are going to be ending things off here. So, this past episode of Pokemon Crystal, we confronted the Gyarados at the Lake of Rage, the special fancy red one. Very, very nice. We also took out, in its entirety, the first floor of the Team Rocket hideout here. We got the experience share for Eevee, and we had an evolution on the team in the form of FERALIGATR. I'll be honest, I thought this happened at level 32, but I guess I just don't remember this game all that well, compared to what I thought I did remember of it. Anyway, these are its new stats right here, and I think that will wrap things up. And next time on Pokemon Crystal, we are going to be continuing our conquest of Team Rocket's hideout and hopefully nullifying that radio signal that is causing chaos up at the Lake of Rage. So without further ado, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.